Stephen, thanks for joining us today. This is great. I feel like we're sitting at your house.
This is my cathedral.
You've been this is AAA. You've been in the bigs in AAA and all the divisions for 16 years in baseball. So, and 2 World Series, and man, God's blessed you in your career and your season. Tell us about your spiritual life. Tell us about kind of growing up and then what God's kind of done in your life since.
Yeah, I grew up, going to church, Christian, all throughout, my middle ages, and then I started playing baseball. And unfortunately, you play baseball on Sunday, so I kind of got away from it a little bit, and it kind of came back, kind of been, teeter-tottering. And baseball for the longest time was my thing I worshiped. Like everything that my focus, everything was on playing, because I wanted, to go to college, get drafted, make it to the big leagues, and then just that's everything. And it wasn't until later on in life to where I was like, man, there's a lot more of focus that I need to come to Jesus versus baseball, because if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't have had baseball. But it took me a really hard time to really have that driven home.
So, Stephen, you had a kind of a dark time in your life, and that's really where you came to Jesus. There was that come to Jesus kind of moment for you. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to talk about it, but it's definitely something that, I struggle with. There was a time in my baseball career, I've always wanted to take control and work hard, and everything was baseball my whole life. My wife sacrificed everything for baseball. And then, I got hurt. I had a significant knee injury to where I had trouble even walking. And then I had a lot of marital issues, and there were some things that me and Shannon were going through that, nobody should want to go through. But, I did, and I had godly men around me the whole time. And I just did what every man always tries to do and just says, I got this. No, I'm going to control this, and I even though I had these godly people telling me like let us pray for you, let us talk about it, let's talk about it. Like men, we don't talk about things, especially when it comes to our feelings and our hardships. Like we want to always put on that armor of like it's all good, right? And then some things happen and it's something I'm not proud of, but I got arrested, and sitting in that jail cell was like wow, like is it really this bad? Like am I really at the rock bottom of all bottom? I mean, I was at the deepest part of my life, both spiritually, physically. I mean, I couldn't do a lot of things that I've done my whole life. And that was when I was like, man, like I need Jesus more than ever. And that was when I really was like, all right, I need to change some things. And, I always tell people, I was like, the person that really opened my eyes to Jesus was you. Because you never knew me, and then you came, and when you showed up that day, I mean it really opened my eyes. I'm like, man, like that is the love of Christ, and that's something that I want to give to other people.
Well, Stephen, you're doing that, man. I mean, you're giving that to other people, and I've just watched you as a dad, as a husband, as serving at church. Talk about what God's done in your life since that time, since that moment.
I mean, it's been rocky. I mean, but I knew God has it. I know Jesus is like, he's the center of my attention, of my life, to where, like I finally opened up to home groups. I gave my testimony that I've never done in my life. I'm serving at church, which I've never done. And I love it. I mean, I'm at a better spot, like spiritually, physically, mentally. Me and Shannon, we're doing better than ever. Like, my kids, I've been able to spend a ton of time with them and have fun with them. And it's like, and there's still a lot of struggle, and there's still a lot of, I don't know what's going to happen. But I've had so much peace about it.
So what would you say to people out there about, when people are struggling or just trying to check out this whole Jesus thing? What encouragement would you give them about coming to Jesus and the difference God can make in their life?
Ask some questions, find somebody that is a mentor, like find somebody that you feel like you can relate to, for me personally, like I want somebody to come talk to me because of something that they just see, like there's something different about him, and like for people that are struggling to find Jesus, or they got questions about who Jesus is. Does Jesus exist? Where'd the Bible come from? There's a lot of there's a lot of literature out there, there's a lot of studies out there, there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge that is not just biblical knowledge. Like there's actual archaeological facts to prove the Bible and the truth behind the Bible and the truth behind Jesus. And there's so many things that you can do if you just would ask questions. Just start with like Nicodemus, you know, like a lot of people want to be Christians at night because they're afraid of how people think about it. And I've been like that my whole life, like, oh man, like, you know, it's like if I'm around Christians, like I'm gonna be a Christian guy, but if I'm not, then I'm gonna be of them, you know, try to fit in. And I still struggle with that today, but like for me, like I'm trying harder and harder every day to keep asking questions and just keep trying to learn everything I can. And that's what my advice would be to people, is just start with the question of who's Jesus.